Welcome to another episode of the Straight Up Chicago Investor Podcast. I'm your guest, Eli Goodman, and with me as always is your hosts, Tom and Mark.
Our guest today, I'm ashamed it took us this long to get him on here. So we've known each other for years. We've done several deals together. He has been just, I would say, scratching and grinding for the past 8 years, and is now, very successful wholesaling company, very successful meetup. They meet the second Tuesday of every month. We'll link to that in the show notes. Founder and owner of Illinois Real Estate Buyers. Without further ado, Eli Goodman, welcome to the Underground.
Thanks for having me.
This is a great episode. I feel buyers don't understand what wholesalers go through and like how to get on their good side and just how to make a transaction go smoothly for everybody.
Wholesalers are not going away. And if, especially in the next 4 or 5 years, as we continue in this uncertainty of a market, investors have to be comfortable working with wholesalers. So I think this is the perfect episode for buyers, cash buyers, to be listening to so they know how to do a deal with a wholesaler.
Yeah, and I think it's also just worth noting too, like it's a job. Like people, I hate the saying of, I might have a wholesale deal or two and then I'll get a rental. It's like, no, like you are going to commit to this, to a 6-month marketing campaign and a lot of activity and like a lot of work goes into it. People just gloss over it, like, oh no, I'll just wholesale deal or two.
You know what's so amazing? A wholesaler today is basically what a real estate agent was in the 70s. Like they actually would do their marketing. They canvass areas. They would keep track on a Rolodex. but real estate agents just got lazy with the MLS side of things, and now wholesalers have served a purpose that has been gone for a long time. And I think with everything that's changed in the real estate world, the real estate brokerage world, this is going to be really where I think real estate is going in the future, is as far as wholesalers go versus your traditional real estate agent.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What do we got here for our Housing Friday tip of the week?
All right, Housing Friday tip of the week: get a HELOC loan on your personal residence. So if you're looking to continue to buy properties, maybe you're going to burst stuff, maybe you're going to buy something cash. If you have a HELOC, more likely if you've had your personal residence for a few years, you have some equity, get a HELOC on it. Places like Chase, maybe your other lenders, they're giving out HELOCs pretty easily right now. And that gives you the opportunity. And let me remind you, if you have a HELOC, if you don't use it, you don't pay anything on it. You might pay $100 to pull the loan to like lender fees wise, but once you have that, now that's a cash reserve. So last week I had 2 people that I know, their boilers went out. They went to go fire them up for September 15th, and their boilers went out. $30,000 roughly they both had. One guy had a HELOC. He solved the problem in 24 hours. The other guy, who's a little cash tight, he had to go finance it. So, but he did actually have a couple $100,000 equity he could have had a HELOC on. So grab a HELOC. I know I use mine all the time in and out just to buy something cash for my burst strategies. Super handy. If you don't have a personal residence to buy a HELOC on, go buy a personal residence in 3-4 years. Listen to this episode.
All right, Eli, welcome to the Underground. How we doing?
Thanks. Good to be here.
We are excited to have you. So I know we have spoken several times. It took us too long to get you on the show. You should have been a guest earlier, but here we are. We made it. We got a lot to cover. Let's just start at the very beginning. How did you start in real estate?
Yeah, so I kind of got started by accident. Back when I was 20, I was in better shape before real estate, and I was doing party promoting at night and then waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be a personal trainer and train clients. And that was just exhausting, just running around all day doing that.
Sounds insane.
Yeah. Coming home, taking a 3-hour nap, and then going out and training. Was just exhausting. And I also know that I'm exchanging limited time for limited dollars. At the time, I was making good money for a 20-year-old living with their parents, but that wouldn't be the end goal. A friend of mine at the time wanted to be a real estate agent when he turned 21. He was on YouTube and he saw one of those ads with the Lamborghinis and the check. And he said, here's this wholesaling thing. So he gets started, quits his job, buys a sports car, and 1 month later he's broke. And I'm looking for an out, and I decided it'd be a good idea to be a partner with this guy. I got the money, I've run a business, so I understand a little bit there. Let's be partners. We did that for about a year, did one deal. Then I went to work for a fix and flipper, and then in 2020 I said, that's it, I'm going full time, and started my business.
What were you doing for the fix and flipper?
Pretty much everything. So he was generating off-market leads to sellers. So I was in charge of talking to the leads, following up with them, cold calling, going on appointments, making offers. And then towards the end, when we started getting contracts, because it took a long time. My first contract took me about 8 months. And then it took me 6 months for my second contract. So after that, I was helping with the contractors. So pretty much everything under him.
You're not living and dying off those contracts. You're doing like actual work and getting paid something? Or are you sitting there like running out of money?
No. So I was still doing personal training at the time and I had a little bit of odds and end jobs to keep me going. But I was 100% commission based.
Everyone always expects they're going to walk into a job and kill it. At any point there, did you almost turn back around? Like at 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, like at some point before the 8 months, there had to be that inner dialogue saying, I don't know, man.
I feel like in the beginning, because I was living with my parents, I didn't have a car. I didn't really have any expenses. I was okay just kind of rolling with it. It wasn't until I started going full time and moved out of my parents' house when I started thinking about quitting, I would say. And yeah, even since then, it's really tough. You know, there's always going to be those waves where you have the great months where you make $100,000 or whatever, and then the next 3 months you lose money.
What would you have gone done? Stripping?
I think that's why I didn't quit, is I had no backup option. Like there's really there's really no option. I didn't have a college degree or anything. So if I failed, it's like I just have to start fresh at something, figure it out.
All right, so you're doing odds and ends for him. You end up going full time on your own. We kind of just glossed over that. Like, what were the things you had to get in order, and what were you going to do? Right, like you said, go off on your own. But is this to do like all just off market deals and acquisitions?
Yeah, so that was at the end of 2019. The reason I decided to go full time is I had like $5,000 of cash saved up at the time. In November, we got a contract. In December, we got a contract. And at the end of December. So I'm like, okay, we have a contract coming in every month now. I think I found my flow. I'm going to get a 0% credit card. I'm going to get a brand new credit card, 0% APR, which gave me like $5,000, 12 months to pay it out. So I got $10,000, let's say, to make this work. Worst case scenario, I shut it down and just stay with my parents. So that's what got me going in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I just took the risk and I just said, it's just time to go all in. I think I can make it happen. Because at the time I felt like I was losing more money by not doing real estate full time, right? Because anytime I'm working at, say, a job, that's time where I'm missing phone calls or missing opportunities to make phone calls.
Yep. All right. So how did you spend that 10 grand then?
Marketing.
But you were sending mailers out? Were you?
Yeah. So I guess I got started the wrong way. So in the beginning, when I was with my first partner, we tried everything. We were cold calling, Facebook ads, mailers, trying to JV with people, everything. And then one day he goes, I got this email from this guy. It's a shady looking webinar, you know, there's like no face and just, it's like that 1 hour slow drip sales pitch. And at the end he goes, buy my Google pay-per-click, my Google ads thing. Give me $1,000. I'll set up your Google ads. Okay. 1 week later, we have our first contract after 8 months of trying. And
So it worked?
Yeah, it worked.
Wow. I didn't see that story going that way.
No, it usually does not. But you know, we got a good enough product and a lot of luck too to get our first contract. So when I got started my first time, that's what I said I'm going to do. I said I'm going to still work with this guy who's the fix and flipper, who's doing his own marketing, help him run his business, and focus on transitioning into my own business, doing Google ads. So that's what we were doing in the beginning.
So you end up getting one right away. Like, walk us through this, right? Because now it's like, oh, everything's fine, we're doing well, but this had to be super scary.
Yeah. So I told myself at the end of 2019, I'd do this. 2020 starts. Everything's looking good, right? 2019, all the economists are saying everything's going to be good. I start my business, I think, mid-February. Okay. And then mid-March, my friend calls me and goes, I'm moving out of town. Why don't you take over my lease on my apartment? There's a couple months left. It's like $800. You got 2 roommates. Everything will be great. 2 days later, everything shut down. And that's when it was like, okay, what's going to happen? Because at the time, everyone rightly assumed that there would be a market crash. As a wholesaler, I'm protected because I'm not buying anything. But everyone's just kind of sitting and going like, what's going to happen? So it did take me a couple months to get that first contract. And then even then I was working with this fix and flipper. So those 3 contracts, yeah, I had those contracts, but it took time to basically move through them because they had to renovate them, sell them and everything. So I was basically just burning through my savings at that point until I got that first deal. And then that first deal, I guess because I was a new business and it was during COVID, the check bounced. So I get my first deal, everything's going great. I deposit the thing, I take out enough money, check bounces, my account's negative. And that's just kind of how it went for probably like 2 years, just like living like wholesale deal to wholesale deal.
When you're doing that, because the funny thing about wholesaling too is you got to put money in to get the money back. Right. Like, so like, talk to us about like, were there times when you're like, I don't know, like I shouldn't spend $5,000 this month. I'm going to spend 2 or vice versa.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the big problems I had in the beginning was I didn't really know what I was doing. So it's like, okay, I have a lot of money. Let me spend 5,000. I'm busy right now. Let me shut those off. And with Google Ads, it's heavily like algorithm based. So when you turn it on, turn it off, raise it up and down, it just throws off the algorithm. So that was definitely something I messed up on. I should have just picked a budget and just worked through, but I still made it work somehow.
While you're doing this, tell us, so you're doing the acquisitions. What are some of the lessons you learned dealing with sellers, right? Because it's a certain skill set to go in there and, someone's in distress or they're usually not in a great situation. There's some tough conversations you have to have. So talk to us, for someone who hasn't gone through that process, give us a little taste of maybe some of the things you've learned by having these conversations.
Like some of the things I've learned, like to work better with sellers, or just like personal lessons.
Both.
Yeah.
I feel like everything I've had to learn. I'm naturally like a very cold, monotone person, so I have to learn how to be like, oh, like that's so sad, and
That sounds so sincere.
Yeah, I mean, like I have to be sincere, and sometimes
you are robotic. Like when I talk to you, it is like it'll be this amount, and we'll get it done. And I actually appreciate that. I'm like, great, let's do it.
Yeah. So with cash buyers,
that's how I like to do.
Yes. Exactly. With cash buyers, it's great, right? Because I come in, I'm just like, here's the issues. Like, do you want it? Yes or no? With sellers, you have to be like, oh yeah, the bank that you didn't pay your mortgage to for 6 months is totally scamming you out of your house. Like, like you have to do that, and you have to like hold their hand in like these situations where you're like, okay, like the path forward is very clear. Like you sell the house, you take your money from your equity, and you go rent a house. And like you have to find a way to lead someone down that path, which is actually very tough, because you have to do that in like an empathetic way, help them find the way to do it. And you have to learn how to be like stern with them and tell them like, this is what you're going to do, without bossing them or pushing them.
What are some of the reasons? Because a lot of these people, they might Google the first 3 names and have those 3 people all come out to the house. Why go with you? Everyone's going to be around the same price point. What are some of the reasons why they pick you over, the next 2 guys that are also sitting down on the couch with them?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something tough that everyone has to figure out. The number one thing would be understanding where they're coming from and where they want to go, and painting that picture better than the guy who just hands them an offer. So saying, this is how my offer is going to help you, right? And that's different for everyone. Like I'll have cash buyers who will try to pitch me on their lower deal over their bigger one. And the first question you have to ask is, what does this person want? Not what you think they want. It's like, what do they want? And you may look at someone who's going into foreclosure and say, this person wants to sell at a discount because they're going to lose their house. But in reality, the reason they're going to sell to you at a discount is because they don't want to list the property on the market and all their neighbors see that their house is a total mess. And so if you pitch them on, you're going to save your house from foreclosure to me, they may rather lose their house to foreclosure than to show everyone how ugly their house is. So you have to ask that question and bring it into them. And saying, I can close within 30 days for someone who wants to sell quick is a great sales pitch. But for the person who needs 2 to 3 months to pack everything in a perfect box and find the ideal place, that's going to stress them out. So understanding who they are, what they want, and taking them to that, as well as, let's be honest, you're destroying your competition a little bit, where you're throwing doubt on your competition, where you say, okay, this person's higher, but are they going to close?
You've probably been in some crazy situations. Like give us that crazy seller. Give us one of the examples.
Crazy seller in which way?
Just one you had to deal with, like, this person is nuts, or this was a really messed up situation.
Yeah, we had this one guy. So many situations, hard to pick. But we had this one guy, cold call lead. And every time we get on the phone with him, it was a half an hour conversation, right? You just start talking his life story. We talked to him for about 2 years. And one day I'm looking at the file and I go to my sales guy at the time and I go, do not ever talk to this guy again. You have spent 6 hours on the phone. This house has been vacant for 6 years. It's in a great area. This guy has spent over probably like $100,000, $200,000 just on holding costs for the vacant house. He cannot make a decision. His friend's a real estate agent. They put a lockbox on the property. You will never buy this house. A year later, I'm going through my CRM. I see the house and it still hasn't sold. I'm like, all right, let me give this guy a call, see what's going on. He goes, man, you told me to sell. You were right. The pipes burst in like 24 different areas in the house. He didn't winterize the house. The water was so bad that it was the whole basement had full with water and it was coming out the front door. And this is like a house in Mundelein. This is not the south side, right? Nice area. I think it sold for like $800,000 after my buyer bought it. And I visit the property and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna offer this guy 300 grand. And I'm like, before I do, let me just ask. And I go, how much do you want for the house? And he goes, I think 200,000 would be a fair price. And I'm like, okay, don't jump, be calm. We talk it over a little bit. Oh, what about this? What about this? I'm like, okay, like I was a little higher. I'll give you 215. He goes, okay, it's my mom's house. Turns out his mom wants 240 for months back and forth, and found a buyer and closed it out. And you just learn how you gotta, it's a lot about just like that follow-up. It took over 3 years to close that deal.
Yep. Well, let's talk about some of the systems you have in place. You mentioned your CRM. You don't have to share like all the nuts and bolts here, but give an idea of like, how are you actually sending your mailers out? Like what technology you're using? What's the cadence? If you don't mind sharing like how much you're spending per month on it, like just give an idea of the operations, and then the follow-up side of it, the CRM, like what do you have in place? What kind of checks do you have in place there to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks? Because most of these leads they close months later, right? It's a persistence game.
Right. Yeah. So the first question is obviously like the marketing, right? How are we getting leads? And that's probably one of the most popular questions that wholesalers ask me, or cash buyers ask me. And the answer is it really doesn't matter, right? Every single lead generation source, I have a friend who's doing it and crushing it, whether it's mailers, cold calling, door knocking, text blasts, RVMs, TV, radio, newspapers, everything someone's doing. So it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you pick that method, you stick with it, and you master it over a period of time, right? You're going to typically want to give it 6 months to a year just to get your first deal, because you never know. It could be that first lead you get is a deal, or it could be that first lead you get is a deal that takes a year to close, and you go, it was worth waiting a year to get that deal. So once you have that lead, you have to capture the lead in a system, because it's not going to take one lead. It could take 50 leads to get your first contract, right? We got lucky our first time around with our pay-per-click ads. It took me like a week to get it, but the second time I relaunched it, it took me like 3-4 months to get my first contract. So you have to be on top of all these people and knowing, okay, this person wants a call back at this time, because if you miss that call, someone else might not, and you lose the lead. For me, I use a software called REI Blackbook. Everyone's gonna have their favorite CRM. Doesn't really matter, again, whatever works for you. But what I like about that is every lead is captured within our system. So every day when I wake up, there's gonna be 2 tabs on my computer, my Gmail, which I have a system to manage that. So I make sure I see every single email, including all my spam. And then same thing, REI Blackbook. Every time a seller calls in, the calls are recorded, transcribed, and summarized by an AI bot. And then I get sent a task to either that I missed a call, or that I need to take notes on the call, right? So if they call me and I speak to them, I get a task on my software saying, call this, you talk to this person, what's the next step? And that's really good, because when I'm running around and talking to people, I could have 10 calls, and I now have to go home and be like, okay, I told 10 people 10 different things, right? This person wants an offer. This person wants me to change something in the contract. This person needs to reschedule an appointment. And I can't just stop and write that all down and change it in the moment. But I do know when I get back, I'm gonna have a task list of 30 to 50 things to do, and I could just sit down and do done, 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 push off, text this person, and be done. Same thing, all the text messages, all the calls, all the emails go through that software. So I'm not picking up the phone and having to save, I have thousands of sellers that I'm talking to right now. I can't save every single number on the phone. If we don't talk to the seller, or they ghost us for whatever reason, we have different workflows. Those workflows will send automatic voicemails, automatic text messages, and automatic emails to these sellers. Some of them will run for years before they fall off. And that's the same thing. I can talk to 1,000 people automatically, whereas I can't hand text 1,000 people every single day.
In your drips and your automations, are you taking more of a, hey, are you interested, or are you trying to educate them at all? Are you trying to sell them, or are you trying to are you just trying to trigger them emotionally to call you back? Like, what's your kind of approach?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I have like an email sequence, and I used AI to make it. And it's just like, okay, what are like the common 50 objections why a seller would ghost you? Write one email for every single reason, and that just will go for like a year or whatever. So every year it's like, okay, every week it's like, okay, let's try to overcome this objection, this objection. Over text message, it's the same thing. It's just like, let's stay on top of mind. So whenever they're ready to sell, they think of us, because a lot of it is timing. We've had sellers who contact us and just completely ghost us, never speak to us. And 2 years later, they call me and they go, I was thinking about selling because I need to move for this job. The job fell through, but now another job came through and now I'm ready to sell. So staying on top of them, or just kind of trying to hit them with like some kind of shock, like, the classic, have you given up on selling? Why did you even contact us if you haven't reached out? Or, hey, we can close in 30 days, stuff like that. So just a little bit of everything.
What's like the volume you're doing on a monthly basis? Like how many mailers or texts? Like what are you sending out there right now?
My main source is going to be Google. Someone goes on Google and just searches sell my house fast, cash, just some kind of iteration of that. And then they'll either find my website organically because Google thinks I'm the best, or we're running an ad on the top of Google saying, contact us.
And real quick, are you getting like long tail keywords here where you're like, sell my house, neighborhood or insert subdivision or neighborhood there, or are you just more general?
I actually don't know the answer to that because we have someone managing the pay-per-click. I've just noticed that when you have someone who's like every single month checking all your keywords, seeing what's the best, you just perform.
And they're doing it for you, yeah.
But I'm sure we have something like that.
Do you target, whether it be Google AdWords or the other marketing, specific parts of the metro area, or you'll take opportunity anywhere and you got a list to support that?
Yeah, we're just targeting mostly by counties. And then the SEO is a little bit more, right? We're going to pick like the top 50 neighborhoods that we want to target and try to rank for those.
Like how many calls do you think you're taking in a month then?
About 100 leads.
Okay, so about 100 leads. And then out of those 100, how many do you actually walk the property? Where it's like, all right, this is worth going out there and taking a look and putting a number in front of them.
Very small amount depending on the month. Out of 100 leads, you'll probably have 20 to 30, probably 40% you're going to disqualify right away. Whether that's they never answer their phone, or they're looking for an appraiser or a real estate agent, or, you just know they're not, they're just like, well, my agent said I can get, I bought this house, I renovated it, it's worth 300, I'll take 295. And then you're going to have a bunch that just, they're not ready yet. So on a given month, probably 10 to 20 walkthroughs. I'm also trying to lock up a lot of them on the phone because it takes up like 3 hours to do a walkthrough and you don't get a contract. That's just a big time suck.
That was be my next question, because that you can be driving somewhere too. Like you drive 30 minutes to an appointment, you go through it, you do all the you analyze everything, you drive back, and then you don't get the contract. I go through that and it sucks. All right, so what you out of these like 100 then, like are you pulling in like 1 or 2 a month? Like what's the
typically what you want as a wholesaler is to close between 1 out of 20 to 1 out of 30. The expectation is 1 a week.
Walk me through this for a second. You have like 100 coming in. You need to get like 1 a week to actually like close. So your inventory, like your pipeline at any point, like to the cash buyers like me that you sell to, you want to have whatever, a list of 5 to 8 properties at any given time probably, right? Like that's...
Well, ideally I'd like 1 or 2. So because my thought is if I can't sell this within like a day or 2, it's not such a good deal, right? Like a good deal...
it's not sitting there.
I'll know within about an hour whether I have a deal or not, typically.
Makes sense. All right. We haven't talked about the other side of the disposition side, which is, I'm going to assume, much easier than the acquisition side. But let's talk about that because, you're 20 years old or whatever and had to build up this list, like coming out of nowhere. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you get these cash buyers? And we can talk about this. You have the Facebook group. Like how many people are in your Facebook group? So
I've got 2 that I own and 1 that I moderate. So I think it's 20,000, 17,000, and 7,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's 8 years in the making, though.
Yeah, you got a nice meetup. But yeah, like talk to us because there's a lot of people who are in where you started. Where they're like, man, I want to get into this. I want to do this. They want to get to your point, but they don't want to do the work to get to said point. So talk to us about some of those steps you took to.
My first wholesale deal I did with one of your other podcast guests, Fernando Angelucci. He was wholesaling back then, single family. So I just JV'd with him and he kind of helped us find the buyer. Then the next couple I was doing with the flipper. So I kind of got to see the back end of that. And at the time we were also making offers on auction, wholesale, listed as well. So I did get to kind of see the back end of that and meet with other investors and wholesalers at the time. And then when I went full-time in 2020, I did about 3 with Fernando. And then I said, I'm going full-time. The disposition process is very easy if you have a deal. Okay. If you have depending on the level of deal, a great deal, like I said, within an hour, people are going to be asking for a sight unseen contract or trying to get into the house, or your phone will be ringing. You'll know pretty quickly if you have a decent pipeline. From there, you're going to have the deals where people are going to you might have to do a couple walkthroughs, couple offers, a couple lowball offers. But in general, I'm selling around 1 showing is my goal. 1 showing sold, whether that's 1 person or a couple people. The disposition process is going to be simple. The first step is I'm going to text my usual people. Reason being, if I have a great deal, one of the ways to lose a great deal is to tell too many people about it. Because as soon as people find out if it's a great deal, people will show up to the house, knock on the door, break in, try to call the seller, do whatever it takes to get the contract. And I've lost deals that way many times. So ideally, I'm just going to say, okay, these handful of people, I know them, I trust them. They're just going to perform, no questions asked. Let's see what they say. And then I'll also get good feedback because I'm just texting them as opposed to an email blast. If that doesn't work, or it's just like an okay deal, I don't want to bother them, or I don't have a specific buyer in that area, I'm going to send it out to my email list, in between 1,500 to 2,000 people, depending on the location. From there, I'll post it on social media, Facebook groups. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to pull a list of cash buyers and start calling them from that area.
How much time are you taking between texting out your 10 core and then emails? And then, is it like days? Is it hours?
It really depends on the deal. Like, what's the seller's timeline? If the seller's on a 2-week timeline, I can't give them more than 5 minutes. Okay. I mean, I've had times where the sellers had a 3-month timeline and I'm like, this is a great deal. If no one takes it, I'll take it. And it took me a month to find a buyer just because I was busy then. But usually a day or 2 for a deal, because you have to move quickly with the sellers. And then you also can't move too quickly, because if you start sending contracts to title that don't close, you're going to piss off the title company and your attorneys.
When you get someone, you lock up a deal, you go to your list, your 4 or 5 guys, you call up and say, hey, we got something here. How do you handle that when you have the 4 or 5 offers, right? Are you calling for a best and final among them? Because I feel like that's always a little bit awkward, where it's, the same group of guys and, you're kind of running point on this thing where it's like, hey man, can you just give me this thing? What do I got to be at?
So up until interest rates kind of shot up, I would call for highest. I'd just say, here's a deal, highest and best, unless it was a small group of people. If I emailed out, I'd say highest and best by 3-4 days.
And just call it a day.
Now I do first come, first serve at asking with asking with no contingencies. And there's really pros and cons. Obviously, when you call for first come, first serve, you might leave money on the table. But there are a lot of people who look at first come, first serve. And like we just discussed, they don't want to drive 3 hours out to a property, make an offer, and you go, I got a higher offer. So a lot of times those people will either wait you out and then you go, oh, I didn't get any good offers. And then they're going to lowball you, or no one's going to show up to your deal. So it's kind of a risk that you take with both. And you just got to pick what works for you. As a wholesaler, I'm just here to at doing a deal a week, you just got to turn them quickly, right? Just make your buck and move on. What was the question?
That was it. How, when you have the multiple offers or the multiple people involved, how you actually handle it.
In a situation where a lot of people, let's say I send out a deal and 20 people want to show up to the house. If it's a vacant property where the neighbors aren't nosy, I'll just say, everyone show up to the house. First person to sign the contract gets it. And if everyone kind of says at the same time, I'm going to flip a coin or just kind of raffle it off. If it's a situation where I'm a little nervous that the seller is going to show up or the neighbor is going to call the seller and be like, why is there a party at your house today? I'm going to basically start filtering down. So 10 people want to see the house. Okay, you see the pictures. I sent you the comps. You're a big boy or girl. You know your numbers. Obviously you want to walk it, but are we at asking price, or are you going to hit me with a 50K below, right? And if I get any shakiness, I'm usually just going to kind of start throwing them down the line, right? Because you can tell from pictures, from comps, whether this is something you want or something you want to look at. And then we're going to start filtering, okay, how many projects have you done? Are you willing to waive contingencies, cash, private money, hard money? And usually I could filter it down to like a couple people, and then from there filter it down to one.
What a great episode for buyers right now.
Yeah, like understanding how.
Understand how they think on their side. Like this is huge.
Yeah, because that's really important. If you understand how a wholesaler works, that's how you're going to get the deals. Because like I've had wholesalers who or buyers who, if you just ask me one question, there's a couple questions when someone asks me that, I just go, this person's inexperienced. I don't want to work with them.
Yeah, so give us some examples.
Yeah.
The big one would
real quick. I swear to God, we had a $1.9 million flip in North Center, and one of the people walking in to buy it was asking me about like, oh, what are the utilities? I was like, you probably shouldn't buy this house. Like, probably stretching here, sir. Sorry, continue.
I would say a big one is actually sending a contract. When I see someone sending me like the 8.0 or the 7.0, I go, okay, this person probably does not know how a wholesale deal works. Because when you're doing a deal on market, you send in an offer, they sign the offer, and then you proceed. With a wholesale deal, the wholesaler sends a contract because it's an assignment of contract. They have the original contract. They're going to use their assignment, et cetera, et cetera. Questions about, if their first question is about earnest money, that's not like an automatic disqualifier, but that's kind of interesting. And then when they just start negotiating terms off the bat, or asking me what's the lowest I can go, just stuff like that.
Asking earnest money off the bat is probably like, all right, you're probably not serious here. Like that's a big one.
I like the approach. I imagine it's more, rapport friendly when you just put the price out there and first come, first serve. It just less hard feelings. Like I feel highest and best can kind of create some animosity and even towards the seller.
Yeah, it's also weird because like in your situation, like you're looking to make like a set amount of money, right? Like and just do it and move on, right? More money's always better, but it's like, all right, this is what I'm expecting to do, and like let's get on, like, and just go on to the next one.
Well, especially I imagine you have a core group of followers like Tom that it just makes that relationship just easier and more trusting, if anything. So
yeah, we actually did one the other way. One of my mailers that he did. So we've gone both ways now.
Nice. Yeah. Did you call highest and best?
Yeah, call highest and best on it. So, all right. So what do you see for this, like the wholesale business that you're running now? Like, is this much of the same for the next 5 years? Are you looking to scale this thing up, or when you start seeing TV commercials with you everywhere?
I ran TV commercials. In my opinion, not worth it, but I know people doing well. So again, everyone to their own. I don't know. Depends on my mood. Depends how well the business is doing. I would say either I'm just going to keep going and scaling. Maybe I scale back and just do like one or like two. I thought about, okay, what if 4 deals, 1 deal a week is just a lot of work. What if I just do 1 wholesale deal to keep the business running and 1 flip or rental? I'll be doing very well with not a lot of work. Maybe it's scaling to like commercial. I've spoken to Fernando about self-storage. That's something I'm interested in. Or maybe it's just selling and moving to a state that's more comfortable to wholesalers.
You're obviously, every investor would love to be in your position where you get to see those deals first. Like, all right, what are you taking now for your side? What's like your buy box look like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's pretty comparable to most people. I do get a little bit of that first kind of bite. And I also have those periods where I'm just wholesaling, periods when I want to buy rentals, periods when I want to buy flips. Right now, I'm kind of settled into a groove. Like I said, that wholesale couple, keep the business flowing, keep those checks turning. And then on the fix and flip side, right now I'm in the middle of 2 fix and flips. One's cosmetic rehab. I think we'll be all in 30K. Originally 20K 1 month. We're now 30K in 3 months just listed. And then that deal I did with Tom was a $3,000 project, and we're in and out in 30 days. So that's really what I'm looking for now, or like something I can buy, do basically like nothing to it and just get rid of it, sell it as is. So something that's either really good condition or something like that one, which is very dated, but in good enough condition to pass conventional.
And you start seeing that buyer out there more. Cause like 5 years ago, like before COVID, I was able to buy like, the distressed bungalow in the Northwest side, you were able to buy it. And now like end buyers are buying that product because they're so desperate. There's nothing out there. So now they're getting down and they're like, you know what? We'll do the kitchen this year, we'll do the bath next year, whatever. And whether they ever end up doing it, we don't know. But like, there's definitely that buyer pool there of people if it's habitable, like an end buyer will buy it as opposed to like a cash buyer.
Yeah, and that's what you're marketing as. That's what I market the house as. This is the cheapest opportunity you will ever have, or one of the cheapest opportunities you have to get into Jefferson Park.
What do you think? You mentioned like it's not very friendly here for wholesalers. Let's talk about that. Like getting a deal done in Illinois, it's tough, right?
Yes.
All right, so walk through the process for those who don't know.
Okay, I hope a lot of attorneys don't listen to the show. So there's a number of issues in Illinois specifically that make it more difficult to wholesale here as opposed to other areas. Each area is going to have their own issues, but in Illinois, from people I've spoken to, there's a couple issues. The first issue is going to be the way Chicago and Chicago and Illinois in general handles evictions, foreclosures, water shutoff. In a lot of states, you don't pay your water bill, you don't pay your tax bill, you don't pay your mortgage, you don't pay your rent, you're out. In Illinois, you can rack up a $180,000 water bill. You can't do that in other states. Same thing with taxes. You have properties that their tax bill is higher, or their water bill or their lien bill is higher than what the house is worth, especially in the Midwest, where you can have a $200,000 house. So that just leads to a lot of title issues. The next issue is just people in Chicago are more aggressive. They're more likely to yell at you, hang up on you, try to scam you, as opposed to, just some small Midwest town where everyone's friendly. And I've seen that when I was trying statewide wholesaling, right? I go into these rural towns. Every seller was just so nice, want to spend a half an hour. In Chicago, it's like, I need to see your Better Business Bureau file. I need to talk to your attorney, my title company, earnest money, all these things. The next issue is the attorneys. They're more heavily involved in title than a lot of other states. And that causes a number of problems. Number one is they're going to be on top of everything. If you don't put down earnest money on time, if you go past your inspection, any issues, there's an attorney there to advise the seller to go after you. That also means things take longer. The title company, when I do deals in Indiana, we can be in and out in 2 weeks. With attorneys, they're more busy. They're not as business oriented as much, as opposed to, what their job is to like do law. But, they might be too busy to respond to their email. They might need a couple more days. They want more contingencies in the contract. They don't like the tax proration, all of those things. And you just add those things up and it just gets more complicated. The neighborhoods in Chicago, block by block, competitive market, so everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about running comps, because like you're everywhere. Like I see, on your listings, just like random. Oh, I didn't even know that was a suburb. Like I'm learning. So like, how are you like? I get like how you run comps, but like, what have you done to try to maybe streamline that so like you actually know what you're getting into? Because the city itself is its own animal. Each neighborhood, each block by block, and then you add in all the burbs. It's like a lot of information to absorb.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. There's definitely times where I mess up my comps, and after the fact, I go, man, I messed up my comps and lost out a nice deal, or vice versa. I'm the guy who, like that Jeff Park deal, there was a bunch of offers on the table. I was the highest and best because I think most of them looked at it from a fix and flip perspective as opposed to buy clean list. It's just practice. Like you just, when you're talking to 100 people a month, you get really good at comping. And then as a wholesaler, you get that buyer feedback. Your comps are wrong, your comps are right, stuff like that.
Well, that's a very big takeaway for anyone out there. Like if you're not going to buy a deal, you don't ghost that broker, that wholesaler, whoever. You don't ghost them, and you say like, hey, I'm not the buyer. Here are the reasons why, right? Like everyone wants to know like why. Yeah. It could be something very simple. It could be something like, no, like my rehab is $250 on this. It's not the $150 you think it is. And someone might be right, but whatever it is, the information is helpful.
Huge feedback loop.
Right, because from the wholesaler's perspective, they could take that information back and renegotiate, or they can tell you where your information is wrong. Just because you're a buyer, you may not see something the wholesaler sees.
If multiple people are looking at it and all three of them are saying the same thing, then it's like, oh, then it is correct. But if you're the only guy saying it and no one else is, it's like maybe you are wrong. But yes. So, all right, let's talk a little about it, because we've partnered up on some deals now. For those who don't know, like I now run my marketing through you. So like I pay for the marketing. You handle everything, because I don't want to handle 100 calls. It sounds terrible. And then we have our own little agreement with how it shakes up. And we've done a few deals now. Is this something you're looking to do with other investors, right? Like let's throw that out there, because I know you're looking to scale in that regards.
I've done it with a couple people over the years, a couple wholesalers over the years. And it's something that's great. From the buyer's perspective, this is actually something I'm talking about Tuesday at my meetup. I'm going to go a little bit more into this. is, if you're an investor right now, one of the hardest things is going to be finding off-market deals or finding deals in general. And then especially the kind of deals that I will do where you go, okay, I can buy clean list or do a cosmetic rehab. You're not going to find that on the MLS, right? You can't find something on the MLS that everyone sees. Someone's going to outbid you. So the simple thing that you kind of brought up to me and, people have done in the past is the cash buyer will pay for a marketing campaign. It'll be a specific marketing campaign with a specific phone number. So every time the phone number rings, it gets tagged in our system. This is Tom's lead. Anytime a property comes up in his area, I double check, did we send mailers to this person? I ask them if they got a mail piece from us. So we're tracking everything to make sure that everything's done. And then I handle the whole back end, which is, okay, I talked to the seller, they're not ready. I have to follow up. I mean, I've had sellers say, call me in 2 years and we'll talk then. So I'm the guy who has to remember in 2 years to call this person back, right? And then I'm handling all the negotiations, the follow-up. I get a contract, or I get to that point where I'm like, I think I got a price. Hey, Tom, I got this deal. What do you think? Do you think I should offer more? Is it too high? And then they get first right of refusal on the deal. If not, I'll wholesale it out to someone else and we'll split the profit 50-50. So that's a great way to kind of get started. However, as a buyer, you have to understand a couple things. Nothing's guaranteed, obviously. That's number one. So you may spend 50 grand on marketing and you may lose all of it. You may spend 50 grand, and if you spend 51, you'd make 200 grand though, right? That's always a risk of marketing. The other thing is it's going to take time. People see a mail piece, they throw it out. They may have to see it 6 times. They may be, I've had situations where you send 6 mail pieces, and then on the 7th they call you and they go, I was in the hospital for the last 6 months, and now I've got a stack of your mail pieces. I need to sell my house because I'm going to a nursing home. Let's make a deal. So you have to understand that. And then you have to be someone who has that money to go, I'm going to go 6 months at this budget unequivocally, right? No matter what happens in the next 6 months, no calls, no text messages, I'm going to keep going. And then at 6 months, I'll sit down. And then you also have to be decisive. You can't, with off market, you can't sit down, lock it up, get an extension. You have to be like, yes, I want it. Let's close.
All right. What's your competitive advantage? How have you been able to do this while others wish they could?
I guess I would say I don't really have any special skills that I know of. Some people would argue on that. It's okay. But I think my competitive advantage is that I stay on top of the sellers for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes. And it's just like, keep calling that person until they sell it to someone else or sell to you. Or
all right, what's the one piece of advice you would tell someone that is yet to buy their first property here in Chicago?
Get your ducks lined up in a row and do as much due diligence as you can up front. And your due diligence will probably be wrong, but you won't die.
All right. What do you do for fun?
Depending if I have free time, I love to travel, play tennis, and go biking.
Ooh, tennis, not pickleball. You're an OG.
Yeah.
These guys are taking over your courts. So, all right, give us a good book, podcast, or self-development activity you'd recommend to our listeners.
A good self-development activity or a good book. It's going to heavily depend on what you're looking for. But I guess I would do Never Split the Difference for like general sales.
Yeah, Chris Voss, right? That guy's awesome.
Other than yourself, name a valuable resource for other Chicago real estate investors.
Like a person?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Dan Clarton with Investor Title Services. He was the guy I called when I had a problem my first wholesale deal, and 5 years later, I'm still calling him with problems.
And I'm sorry, he's with a title company? Or
Yeah, so Dan, I'm not sure 100% what he's doing. He's still buying deals off me, I know that, but he runs a title company, so he's who I run my title through at good rates, and he's just really knowledgeable and always leads me the right way.
He used to always be a vendor at Breeze when they do the annual summits.
Oh, the Midwest.
Yeah.
Got it. So, all right, Eli, thank you so much. You provided a ton of value to our listeners. How can they learn more about you? Is there any way they can provide value to you?
Yeah, I mean, best way to learn more about me is just follow me on Instagram or Facebook, Eli Goodman. That's Eli Goodman, spelled Eli. Come to my meetups. We do first Tuesday of every month at Jeffrey Ma's restaurant. That's my partner you've had on. Join my buyers list if you're looking for deals and you're serious about buying. Talk to me about lending money because I'm buying. So tons of ways if you want a JV. A lot of ways. I'm very easy to reach out to. I'm checking my spam and message requests. So just reach out. Don't tell me good morning. Just tell me exactly what you want from me. I'm not gonna get mad if you just tell me you want a deal.
Perfect. Love it.
Love it.
To the point.
Yep.
All right. Chicago fact. Who are we playing for? Who is our sponsor?
All right, our sponsor today is Raylia and Associates. So for property tax contesting in all 6 counties, Raylia, especially Cook County. So today we're playing for Benjamin Swartz, who left us a glowing review. So thank you, Benjamin. And then Benjamin, if myself or Eli who gets this question right, you'll get a $50 gift card brought to you by Raylia and Associates.
All right, our question today, because you're up in Skokie now, correct?
Just moved to River Grove.
Oh, change your question.
Yeah, we still got a Skokie question. So you past resident of Skokie. All right, so Skokie is surrounded, it touches 7 municipalities. Can you name 5? That fair?
Yeah. Lincolnwood, Chicago, Evanston, Morton Grove, Niles,
That's 5.
Glenview,
Yeah, one more.
Park Ridge,
No. North Shore.
Wilmette.
Yep. Nicely done, sir. Jeez.
All right.
I didn't know you knew the north side that well.
I just know maps. That's what I know. So,
So when we're in a slump, I'll get some map questions rolling.
yeah, I'm in.
All right. Good job.
All right, Eli, thanks. Thanks for coming on. Tom, thank you as always. Listeners, 2026 sponsorships are opening up here soon. And if you or someone you know might be a good sponsor for our 15,000 monthly listeners, we'd love to talk to you about being a sponsor. So, Eli, thank you for coming on. Tom, thank you. Listeners, we will see you next week.
Thanks all.
Thank you.